Okay, Plexus Heart team, got the recording started, and appreciate every one of you guys that have jumped on here and joined us tonight. Our special guest tonight is Marion Beal. She is a senior Ruby ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. We're excited to have her on here tonight. We just kind of met her through Facebook, and we started talking with her, and she's got some good things to share with our team, and then I'm just going to ask her a couple questions, and then we'll let her just kind of give you guys some advice and stuff. So, first of all, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your family, and where you're from?
Sure. My name is Marion Beal, but Donald, I wasn't going to give you my middle name because if you had a hard time with Beal, Fleckenstein was going to really floor you because I was actually born in Germany. My parents were both born and raised in Germany, and we came to America, the land of opportunity. So we're like original immigrants coming in through New York, having to be sponsored. My parents came over with me, just me, into America. They had a couple of relatives over here, and that was it. So I always say that I had a little bit of the pioneering spirit in me from my mother and my father.
Oh, wow.
So people hear my accent and they said, okay, well, you don't sound German. I said, no, because came as a baby. My parents definitely have the accent. I can speak German, but only in a pinch because I don't speak it a lot here.
Right.
But that's my background. I am married, and this is my actual third marriage. I'll be authentic and I'll be vulnerable there. I was married very young for the first time, didn't last, but maybe not even a year. It was one of those crazy things.
Right.
But my second marriage, I was married for over 15 years. And through that marriage, I have two wonderful boys. They're adult children now.
Okay.
And I am still friends with their father. So it wasn't always that way, but I managed.
Yes.
But currently, I'm married now. I've been married. Well, it's kind of funny with my current husband, Tommy. We met back at the end of 1999, and we met through the newspaper, and that's a whole nother story.
Right. There you go.
It was a one and done thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
But yes, we've been together ever since. We didn't marry for the longest time. In fact, we always tease because he loves Gunsmoke and Miss Kitty, and he always talked about Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty being the longest running, boyfriend girlfriend. Well, we almost did that, but we got married in 2015. So we live here in Ponchatoula, which is in between Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and New Orleans. And so it's like 45 minutes either way. But I grew up in Baton Rouge, and then I came over here towards, I want to say, the early 2000s. So it's a little bit about my family and me.
Cool. So now, okay, can you tell us how you first heard about Plexus and how long have you been an ambassador?
Yes. I was working in a medical office. I was doing admin work, and it was lunchtime, and I was on Facebook, and this was in 2012, June 2012. And the office that I worked in was a small medical office, and we had like 10 other employees there, mostly women. So I'm at lunch, and I'm looking at Facebook, and a friend of mine that I had actually went to school with to get this medical office job was posting about a pink drink and that she had lost 20 pounds. And she said that it was diabetic friendly. That was back when we could, before the compliance came in and said glucose metabolism.
Right.
But the thing is that the diabetic friendly really jumped off the page to me, because on my father's side of the family, he's got, there's like 8 children. But on my father's side of the family, there's all kinds of diabetes. And my grandmother has passed from complications of it. I've had a couple of aunts and uncles. And so diabetes is something that I do not want to get. So that right there, it was like, okay, I'm interested. And I had already been trying to lose weight. I'd been successful losing probably about 20 pounds the year before, really just hardcore going at it. But that last 10 pounds, it was like hanging on.
Right.
And the thing that was so that struck me about this is I was not looking for the business. We hear that all the time from ambassadors, right? We're
Yeah.
just, we weren't looking. But as soon as I saw it, I knew there was several ladies in my office that were trying to lose weight, and they were trying to do it safely. And some of them had diabetes. And so I got up and I went out in the office and I said, hey, has anybody heard about this pink drink that helps you lose weight? It's supposed to be diabetic friendly. Well, my boss and then the billing manager boss said, yeah, well, we just got finished doing 7 days of it. I said, what? I didn't see y'all doing that.
Right.
And they, I said, well, how did you like it? And they said, well, we really liked it. And I said, well, are y'all thinking about doing it more? Are you going to buy some more? And they said, yeah, but we were just talking about it. We don't know who else to get it from. Ding, 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 ding. I swear, that's exactly how it happened. So I said, well, I tell you what, I said, I'm about to go and order some, but I'm going to go wholesale. Will you order from me if I do that? Yes. That is how I got my first customers.
Wow.
It was just organically in the office. And so hadn't tasted it, nothing. Already had shared it, already had customers. That's why I tell people all the time, please don't wait to have a story.
Exactly.
Just bring people on the journey. Say, hey, I'm going to do this. Do you want to do it with me? So organically I had my customers. My very first ambassador was one of my coworkers, and she still is my first ambassador. She's still with me to this day. And her whole story, like I told you, Donald, you have to keep me on the path here because I could go and tell stories. Yeah. But anyway, so I like to say that that this really started for me organically, and I like that. And to me, organically is just sharing it with other people. Of course, as I got further along with it, and I started to see, hey, I was making enough money to get my products, paid for, and then all of a sudden I was getting enough income where it was like matching one of my paychecks. That's when it was getting serious.
Right.
And then I actually, and I believe I had wrote about that on a post too. I said, you know what? I think I might be able to create another income here where I could actually retire from this medical office, because I was with that medical office almost 10 years, and I wasn't feeling the love anymore toward the end. And my husband had retired from an oil refinery. He had been there 34 years. So he had retired and was at home, and I was still driving to work. Oh. And I'd had enough. And I broke down one day and I told him, I said, I want to stay home. I don't like my job anymore, and he was like, we never talked about my business, but he said, well, let's see what you're doing with your business. Cause that was like my money. Right. I did what I wanted to. He was really shocked when he saw what I was making. And he said, you know what, if you can cover your stuff and you can maintain that. He goes, I'm fine with it. And y'all, I didn't walk. I ran to the office and I put in my 2 weeks notice. There you go. So May 2015, I officially retired, and I do this full time now. So,
wow. Well, good for you. Yeah. Seeing like when we found out about Plexus too, it was like, Greg's sister had been doing it and didn't tell nobody in the family. And then we got a phone call from a good friend that told us about it. And then she wasn't an ambassador. She was just, buying it from somebody. So then when we found out that Greg's sister was doing it, we're like, how come you didn't share with us? Yeah. But anyway, so now can you tell us what has Plexus done for you specifically, as far as, have you lost weight or?
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about your story.
Sure. Well, like I said, my first impression with it is that I was looking, to really just for the health, and I had 10 pounds that I wanted to lose. So the products came in, and back then it was, of course, the original pink drink, and it was the original accelerator. And I had been on a plateau of weight loss for that last 10 pounds. Nothing had budged. Didn't matter how much I exercised, how much, I ate well, or anything that I was doing. And it just wasn't budged. And I was kind of resigned to the fact that that's how it was going to be. Well, that first week of drinking the pink drink and the accelerator, 4 pounds, boom, like that. And I was like, okay, we're on to something here.
Right.
Yeah. So so it was that. And it's interesting because back in, I say those days, 2012, 2013, I don't really remember when ProBio 5 and BioCleanse, came on. But I do remember before that, in 2011 and several years before that, every year I was getting in allergy season, I was having what you could call that chronic sinusitis. The kind that gets you to the doctor where your sinuses are inflamed and you're having to go in and get steroid shot. Cause you can't even go to work. That's how bad these sinus infections would come. And I would get it every year. And so in 2011, actually, I had it so bad that I had actually missed work for about 3 weeks. And I even had to use my short-term disability for that. And I remember I had to go to the doctor 2 times during that. So it was really, really bad. Well, one of the things I noticed after the first year of being on the Plexus supplements, namely the what we know as Triplex, I have not had a sinus problem.
Hold on a second.
All.
Hold on 1 second, okay? My speaker just went kaput.
All right. I heard something going in the background.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, I never could not hear you.
Okay, yeah, it was you. My speaker, I had one of those speakers and it just went dead. So.
Oh, okay. So you couldn't hear me?
No, now I can hear you. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll just briefly recap is that I learned that I no longer was dealing with, I have not had a sinus infection ever since the end of 2012. And I've had chronic sinus infections. So that was something that was unexpected for me. And of course, as we know now, gut health is really, is when you have good gut health, your immune system is going to be good and you're going to have better health. So that was another thing that was happening for me. And I'm hardly ever sick. And so I did go on to lose that extra 10 pounds. And what I really, really enjoy about just being on these supplements for all these years now, it's like 7 years this past June, is that it is easy for me to maintain my weight loss. I know that for me prior to Plexus, if I always battled seemed like the same 30 pounds over and over again, lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it, doing diets. And I used to call myself the diet guru. And in fact, just a little back history on myself. For 9 years, I enjoy what I do with Plexus, but I had an occupation prior to that where I actually owned a business, a brick and mortar business, and I hold a certification for hypnotherapy. It's a lifetime certification. And one of my things that I did real well back then, was my favorite thing was weight loss, but that was all with the mind. So, right. And using visualization and as we know, when we're working with people and being in this industry, mindset is everything. We can supplement and we can eat right and things like that, but we have to have the proper mindset and we need to continue with personal growth. So for almost 10 years, I was doing that and working with people, especially with weight loss related habits. But a brick and mortar business, y'all, that's expensive. So to be able to start a business for $39.95 and not have to worry about paying payroll, not have to worry about paying marketing, because we would have to always put out new testimonials in the newspaper. And I can remember those things ran like $1,500 a pop. And so we had to rent the place. We had all the office supplies. And so I really enjoyed being a business owner, but at the first year, we just ran out of money and I was just grieved, and that's why I actually did go to school and get certified into the medical field. I figured that at least I would have a regular job,
right?
But my passion to help people was still there. And that's really what drove me at the end to tell my husband, like, I'm done shuffling papers. I want to be working with people. I want to do it full time. So that's my heart, is to not just, have supplements that, to help people, but to really help them to overcome the self-limiting things that are standing in their way. because you all know, we've all had people, I know I've had many people that have started, but they get in their own way. They're thinking that it's going to be a quick fix. They're
Yeah.
still thinking it's like a pharmaceutical thing where you're going to feel better. They don't understand die off. They don't understand, you know. So over the years, I've learned to really set up from the moment I'm talking to them, to help set up their expectations properly, you know, and that's important
Yes.
because you can't, I tell people, if they're looking for fast weight loss, even though mine was like that, but I recognize there was a lot other things going on. I mean, because you say weight loss, I'm pretty sure that was like water weight that had come off, you know, and that usually is what it is. So I set up the expectation with them and really ask a lot of questions. You know, we're like, it's almost like you're being a consultant to them, but I feel like the more questions you can ask them about their experience with their health and experience with their weight loss previously, that's going to help you set up the expectations of why our supplements are different, why we're working, you know, from the inside out. And
Exactly.
the more that you do that with a prospect customer, that's where the relationship begins. You know, one of the tips that I'll tell y'all is that, and we're learning, I don't know how many of y'all are doing the Bob Hylake Revive Your Downline. It's incredible. I've been in his Legacy Leaders almost a year now. So he's really taught me a lot about really not going so much and worrying about getting into the relationship, because I think I used to get a lot I used to get bogged down into having the relationship without, you know, asking them for the business. So what I've learned is it's okay to reach out to people and ask permission to show them, you know, you know, would it be okay that if I sent you something that you would take a look at it? It's okay to do that from the beginning, you know. And I love that's what he was talking about, you know, today, is that to me, the way I look at this is I have a responsibility that when I see people posting or when I hear people talking about their health issues, that I have a responsibility to say, hey, you know what? I don't know. I may have something. This may work for you. It may not work for you, but are you open to? And I love those kinds of languages because it gives that person, it gives them an in or it gives them an out if they don't want to, you know. And to me, it helps me to feel better about sharing with them. So I've battled a lot with, you know, that inner critic, you know, saying, oh, you're bothering them, you know. But then I just have to remember, had my friend not gotten on Facebook that day, June 14th, 2012, and talked about it, I'll probably still be working at that office. So
Right.
I have to like say, Marion, get over yourself, get out of the way. It's not about you. And we hear that all the time, but yet our ego just goes boop, you know, oh, you know, and you freak out. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is to get out of my own way.
Yep. And, you know, like you said, too, if you wouldn't have seen your friend posting on Facebook, that's just like if we wouldn't have got that phone call that day. You know, she was just a customer and she was just sharing what the pink drink and the supplements had done for her. And so we're like, you know, hey, tell us about it. So if you wouldn't have ever picked up that phone and called us, we would have, there's no telling where we'd be at today as well. So, you know, we're learning too, you know, like when you see people posting on Facebook about, you know, being sick about this or, you know, that, you know, sometimes we just, you know, we'll send them a private message and say, hey, you know, we'll say something in their post, but then we'll send them a private message and say, hey, we have something that might help you. So, you know, sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone and do that. And then another thing in the beginning, when we first started too, you know, we didn't know much about gut health. You know, it was all weight loss in the beginning. And now we're learning more and more and more about gut health. So, you know, the products are, you know, they're simply amazing. And
they are.
So, okay. So now, can you tell us who your sponsor is and just who are some of your upline diamond ambassadors? Because I'm kind of you know, intrigued with the people that you have above you. So,
Well, let me just say that I feel super blessed because being down here in Louisiana, we're in the Gulf Coast area. And so my original diamond lineage is the very first diamond of the company, and that's Sheila Medina. And I was there at the convention in New Orleans where she stood on the stage being congratulated as the first ambassador. And I'll never forget her telling us in the audience that she did not want to be the only one standing there next year. And of course, she wasn't the next year. But you guys, I can remember when Plexus Slim was coming up and out here in this area. Back in those days, we had lots of opportunity meetings. I mean, you know, if restaurants all around, we would be having meetings, and it was so funny because the highest rank we had back then was like emeralds. And so when emeralds would come to your meeting, it was like, oh my goodness, the emeralds are coming. You know, we get all excited. And I know these emeralds. I know them. I have personal relationships with them. And so the sponsor that I signed up under that day, who shared with me, she and I, we actually started to, our business just kind of took off because we really didn't know what we were doing. We were just sharing. We were passionate about it. And so, like I said, that was 2012. We had just missed the first New Orleans convention. Well, in 2013, the leaders retreat was outside of Jacksonville, Florida, in Amelia Island. And so me and my sponsor at the time, we earned that trip. And that was my first experience of like a Plexus corporate run event. And you guys, it blew us away, because it was just like a party on steroids. They brought in characters from Disney World, and the Halloween party was just like, that was unreal, you know. And the room that they set us up in, I was like, I had a hotel room with like a living room and a balcony, and I was like, man, you know. And so, and my friend sponsor, she had a room too. And so, you know, one of the things too, and so also, you were asked about my Diamond Upline. Well, my sponsor started to have problems in her marriage, and I think that derailed her, and she decided to bow out. And that was very upsetting. But you know how we have compression in our compensation plan, and so it compressed up, and I got Deborah McCutcheon, and at that time she was not a diamond. So, but I have gotten to be under the tutelage, and Deborah and I are very good friends. She doesn't live very far from me, so she's been awesome. So I've been to her house. She coaches me. She gets real with me when I want to get all,
right. Yeah. Yep.
She puts me straight. But go check out her Diamond Doc. She gave me, they interviewed me. I had a real quick blurb in there. So, and it was at her house and all, but yeah, she was 13 years doing at admin job. She was working for her husband's fire truck company. And so, yeah, after 13 years, when she turned emerald, that's when she decided to go ahead and give up her job. So, yeah, so my sponsor is a diamond. And so I've watched her, and you know, I have a good role model to go under. Yeah. So those are my uplines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you tell us what it's been like during your 7 years with Plexus? You know, have you experienced highs and lows, and how do you handle the lows when you have your lows? What keeps you going?
Yeah. First off, I want to say this, that I am a Christ lover. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I couldn't do a thing without him. And my faith is really strong in him. And because some of the highs and lows that this business will bring you to me, what I can say about being a leader, and by the way, I will say this, as soon as you sign up your first ambassador, you are a leader, because you have a responsibility to them. Okay. And I know when I first heard that, I thought, you know, but you know what? You're a leader to them, but first and foremost, you're a leader to yourself. And so the better that you learn how to lead yourself, the better you're going to learn to lead your team. And so that's what I said. I've had some very good role models in leaders. One of the things that, I mean, your team is going to be ever evolving, ever changing. And I remember when I first got my very first out of state ambassador. And I'll give you this little tip on how I did that too, because several years ago when they were still trying to have jewels in all of the different states, they used to do these posts where they say, well, we don't have any jewels in this state and this state and this state. And they were saying, if you know anybody in any of those states, you need to try to get in the state. I remember that was always the big challenge, you know.
Right.
Well, I knew I had a high school friend that I went to high school with. She lived in California, and California was like wide open, and it actually still is pretty much wide open.
Right.
I think they might have a diamond there. I'm not sure, but I know they've got emeralds and stuff. So I reached out to my friend and I said, hey, my company is expanding into your state. I don't know if you're interested or if you know anybody that's looking to earn some extra income that will not, that will not take away from what they're currently doing. So do you know anybody that you could connect me with? And she told me, she said, she goes, I might. Can I think about this a couple of days and let you know? And so a couple of days later, true to her word, she messaged me back and she said, I do have someone. She goes, actually, it's my daughter. And I said, oh, okay. So her daughter's like in the 30s. And so she was trying to lose weight. So I signed her up and she very quickly started losing weight, liked the products. And so I started having a little bit of a team. She went gold. And then she went gold. And of course, gold, you have a nice team. Then all of a sudden, she just didn't want to do it anymore. So y'all, that was my first, oh, wow, somebody could get to gold and leave? What? And I was like, no, don't do that,
Right.
But I also know that and this is something else that we're learning in Bob's mastermind, and it's also it really behooves us, and I learned this the hard way, and I'm glad that I at least did that, to when you're level ones and your level twos, if your team's not that big yet, start signing up people, make it a priority to meet those people and develop a relationship with them. Okay. Because you never know when your level 1 or 2 is going to life is going to knock them out and they're going to go, because I've heard many of Diamond saying the team that they started with is not the team that got them to Diamond, And so this girl left, and so compression came over, and another girl raised up in that, and I had been talking to her, and she just accidentally went almost gold, and then she had 2 children at that time, and she was pregnant with her 3rd. So this child, she was the first child that she was actually using the triplex and the X Factor, and she had a beautiful pregnancy from it, and that was like her testimonial. Also, she was plagued with migraines, and so Plexus literally got rid of those for her. So she asked her husband, she didn't want to go back to work. So that was her why. She didn't want to go back to work, and her husband said, as long as you can cover your car note and a couple of other incidentals, I'll agree to it. And that's all she needed. And so she has a very red personality. They love challenges. So, and I'm a yellow. So I was like, whoo, I got me a red, y'all. And she was a go-getter, and she quickly built a team. I say quickly, at least within the year or so. And she brought on another friend of hers that also was like total red and total don't challenge her because she does it, And so that became my strong leg. And so, in this last year, okay, so you asked me about ups and downs. All along in this, I've been learning to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable,
right,
and learning that your points are going to go up, they're going to go down. There's going to be times where you're working your business consistently. There's going to be times when you cannot. And being an entrepreneur is totally different than going and clocking in a time clock and working. You're your own boss, and that's good. You're your own boss, and that's bad because you can get sidetracked. Yeah. Well, what happened recently in this last year, and there was 2 ways that I could take what I'm about to tell y'all. I could have totally let it crush me, or I could have done what I chose to do. Well, what happened is that girl got all the way up to senior Ruby, like myself, and her partner also senior Ruby. And last July, she decided she was going to go and try to become an Emerald, and she wanted to go to Maui last year. She just felt it in her bones she was going to do it, and she pushed hard for several days. My sponsor Deborah worked with her. I worked with her. We were all like, and I had not intended to try to go for Emerald. I wanted to maintain my slow growth and my be more organic with it, because I still needed to build my outside lines.
Right.
So I wasn't ready for it. But you know what? Her going for it actually was a good thing, because I got to see what I was made of, and I got to see what my current team, my local team, was made of. So it was a good, what I call a dry run, and it was a successful run for me. I got 1,504 points, but I was short on my outside legs by only 26 active ambassadors. Y'all, I was like, oh. But you know what? It wasn't God's timing for me, because that Maui trip, I wouldn't have been able to go because my son was getting married that weekend.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to my son's wedding, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
it just wasn't the timing for me. However, for my friend, she did not get all the way. I think her points got up to a little over 1,200, and being California time, 2 hours behind us, I think the time kind of ran out. If she had had maybe a couple more hours, she probably could have mustered up and got the Emerald, but it just wasn't timing for her. Well, I'll just say that devastated her. And, I talked with her, but I felt like something had shifted. You kind of just know.
Right.
And from that point on, I feel like things just chipped and chipped and chipped. And just really within a month, and that's where you and I met each other, and I told you my story. She resigned from Plexus and she went with another company. But her friend had stopped working the business in December and went off on a whole different venture, and then signed up with another company afterward. So what I said to y'all in the beginning, I had two choices with that. I could let that devastate me. And y'all, my emotions when it happened were all over the place, because I'm human, right? I went into scarcity mindset. I went into fear. And then I realized and I recognized, you know what? My business and my livelihood really it's not about the downlines. It's not about those people. My business and my success is truly on my own shoulders. And that's really what I would tell anybody here that's building. You just got to know there's going to be hills and valleys, and you just, when you're up on that hill, celebrate, and just know that you're going to be back down in the valley. So immediately when that happened, the first thing I did is I got on my knees and I said, okay, God, I said, you got to carry me. You got to show me. And I've learned how to ask myself different questions instead of saying, oh my God, the sky's falling. I said, God, I know you're trying to teach me something here, because every time I go through something like this, I believe that he's positioning me to go to a whole new blessing, a whole new level. And
Yeah.
and by me and how I handle that struggle is going to bless me further down the road. So yeah, I lost 2 senior rubies, but you know what? I got a whole new resolve, and God's just been pouring people into my life, and I have a whole new perspective on it, and I have another whole new fire on my behind. If I could
There you
just
go.
tell you.
Yeah. When something like that happens, it kind of lights a fire, and, because
Yes.
the same thing kind of happened with me. I had 3 heavy hitters in the beginning, and, 2 of them went through a nasty divorce, and then another one got drawn into
Mhm.
this, it was like I don't know, a scam thing or whatever. And,
Mhm.
she lasted a month in that other thing, and then she ended up going, oh my God, what was I thinking, So,
Mhm.
anyway, but,
Yeah.
sometimes life gets in the way, and
Yeah.
the thing that I do, I tell people that, I'm not going to let nothing get in my way. I love these products. I love
Yeah.
the business. I love the relationships that we build with
Yeah.
people. And so I'm not going to let anything get in my way. I'm just going to keep moving forward because we have
Yeah.
the most amazing products that
Yes.
there ever was. So
Absolutely true.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So can you tell us what keeps you motivated to work your Plexus business? I mean,
What keeps me motivated?
yeah.
Listen, when I get messages like I got yesterday from one of my newest ambassadors, a wholesale ambassador, she's actually local to me, because that was my prayer. I really prayed for God to send me some local people that I can love on in person, because that's my heart. And so uh, she joined me with one of these 199 packs, and she had a lot of problems with she had, like, I guess the best way to explain it is like she had kind of a problem with frozen shoulder. She could not raise her hand all the way up without a lot of excruciating pain. And so she was talking to me about X Factor. She was talking to, and I told her about ease and stuff. But as it turned out, I told her, I said, best thing for you to do is to get on this variety pack, because it's going to have ease in there. And I'm going to show you how to use that ease supplement to get this inflammation down, and also to help to set up the platform for weight loss, because she does want to lose some weight as well, but she just wants to feel better. So when you get messages like I did coming home from the movie theater yesterday, I listened to my voicemail, and she was just crying with joy. She said, Marion, she goes, I can raise my hand up in the air, and and she goes, you got to come over here and show me how to get back in my back office, and I need to make a couple of more orders, and I'm just so excited. And I said, honey, I'm almost home. I'm gonna swing by your house. I'm not calling you. Let's just go. And so I went over there, and she was just on and on. That's what keeps me sharing.
Yes.
That is what does it for me.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with you on that. We love it when we get those messages from somebody and they're just telling us about all these positives and everything that's going on. So
yes.
Okay, so I know earlier we talked about Bob Heilig, and I think you said you had mentioned you got to actually meet him at convention. I got to meet him as well. Been a Plexus meeting, so it was very cool. But okay, can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on Bob, what you've been learning from his videos? You said you're in the Legacy Leadership Academy. So just touch a little bit on, what Bob has taught you. And
yes. When I first started listening to Bob, it was like he was talking to my heart. That's just how I felt about him. And when he really got into the mindset of this, and as I told y'all, I worked in that field of the mindset when I was working in hypnotherapy, and so I always understood the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. I also understood that we create these stories of why we can succeed, why we can't succeed. So when he started talking about all that, I was like, oh my goodness, he's reminding me so much, because I had been out of touch with that. It was still all rattling around in my brain. But it just goes to show you, if you don't consistently practice your habits, you can lose them over time. So when I first started listening, I was like, oh yes, you are going to mentor me. I'm getting in your group, And so that's really what he's helped me to recognize, is a lot of the fear-based self-limiting beliefs that I had when I did his Revive Your Downline the first time. I think it was like in February, March when he did it.
Yeah.
When I did that, he spent a lot of more time on the mindset part of it. And we're getting a lot of it in this one too, but I really like how he's changed it up. And that's another thing, just like Plexus is ever evolving with their products, right? It's like a new company every year. So why would anybody want to leave? Just saying. But with Bob, he changed this one. He's still going over that material is still similar, but he's really focusing on getting and taking the action, because it's a lot of times we can get so, especially if you're like me, I'm like a teacher at heart. I love learning. I love growing. I love anything that's self-development, personal growth is my jam. I love John Maxwell. I love Jim Rohn. You know, my husband always is talking about my little clutter of books and stuff that I have sitting next to me. I
Right.
said, you leave my books alone, I'll leave your deer heads alone. We got a deal. But anyway, so yeah, so of course that derailed me talking about the deer head, but with personal growth, that is the key. Another cliche thing I've always heard is that leaders are readers. You must continue to grow. And it's like I said, with being a leader, your team is only going to be as good as you are. And the more you learn, the faster your team is going to benefit from that. John Maxwell, if you have never read any of his books, I did a book study with mine. I think it's with my team, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
That is a book study or a good book to go into. But one of the laws was the law of the lid. And at first I scratched my head and didn't understand that. But what it simply means is that the level the capacity that you have in growth as a leader yourself, you can't get past that, and nobody underneath can get past that. So it's like a glass ceiling. So that, like I said, the better that you can be and the more that you can get past your little personal self-limiting beliefs, and they're all over the place. And the only way you can learn about them is to run smack up into them and then make a decision to work on them. So one of the things that I do is I volunteer at my church. I love my church. I'm real big in the Celebrate Recovery ministry, and we're very big on looking at hurts, habits, and hangups. And everybody's got that, right? You know, it's a recovery Christ-centered program, but it's all about hurts, habits, and hangups. And so it just beautifully meshes what I'm doing with this. And so I also find that not only am I being able to serve the people that God brings to me, but I'm also being able to give them a look at what my faith is for me. And that blesses me. And I feel like that's also part of my path and my why. So it keeps me going, and I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm here. I've always felt like this. I've always, from a young child, felt like there was something for me out there. I just didn't know what it was. And so this is where I am. And like I said, like I told you earlier today, and I said this earlier again, why in the world would I want to go to another company when this company is continually bringing world-class products to us, training to us?
Yeah.
You know, you can go to all these other companies, and I know there's other good companies out there, and I know there's other supplement companies that are out there, but you are not going, if you're struggling in this company, it is not because of the company. It is not because of the products. Okay. It is something that is within yourself. Get busy figuring that out. Take some time to delve into what it is. Start asking yourself some different questions. Instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? Start asking yourself, what can I learn from this?
Right.
Because that opens it up for you. It opens up for you to see, and then to ask, God, show me what you want me to work on. For me, with all of this, the big lesson for me is to learn how to get over rejection. And so I've been looking at that, and he's been showing me all these things that happened to me as a young girl, things that needed to be healed, needed to move on to break through these self-limiting beliefs. The thing with earning money, you'd be surprised at how many people actually have a self-limiting belief that's stopping them from earning money. And that was what I learned in the very first Revive Your Downline, that I actually had some really crazy beliefs about people who had money. They weren't good people. So unconsciously, why would I want to have money? So I was literally stopping myself from sharing, but didn't realize it.
Right.
So you see that, again, what other kind of an occupation can you be in where you're starting to learn about yourself in this way that you can contribute to other people and teach other people? So I'm just, hey, Plexus Lifer here. Okay.
I hear you, girl. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So do you have any closing advice for our team, on, ways to work the business, or just some advice to kind of help keep them motivated?
Well, I think when you, the people that are listening to the replay of this, you probably heard sprinkles of it as I told my story. But I will just say this. And I don't know if you can read this, but I keep this little magnet up here. Can you read that? Never, never quit.
Never, never, never give up.
Never give up. Right. And that's true, you know, and never never get caught up with the shiny objects of all the new stuff that's out there. Put your blinders on, right? Because whatever you've got going on here in the now, changing geographically is not going to help, because you might get a good start over there, but eventually you're going to run into the brick wall of who you are, what your beliefs are. So if you fix that and remain in here, let Plexus take care of Plexus, and you take care of you. And do not be stingy with what you're learning. Teach that to your people. But just like I started this off, you know, I didn't give this a second thought. I hadn't tasted the drink. I trusted a friend. And everybody pretty much that you probably signed up, they trusted you, right? And
yep.
So they got started. And so, I already had customers first. So I cannot strongly tell you, I cannot emphasize that enough. The biggest tip is to start telling people, when you sign people up, already start planting the seed. One of the things that I have learned, and this is the last one I'll give you, when I'm talking to people now, I don't start talking about, and if you get 3 people, you can go silver. I've started my whole conversation as, you know what? I love this company because they pay us for referrals. They actually give us rebates on our own product. And I said, you're probably going to get you will get an email, and they're going to give you 3 referral codes. So that means you'll get $25 and your friend will get the same exact discount that you got. So can you think of 3 people that you'd like to do with this journey? And that is so much more authentic and organic. I love that word. So just sharing like that, you know, they may decide, you know, to do something with it, or they may not. But if you've been in this business for a while, like I have, it can be easy to forget to tell our story. And I'd forgotten about that. And that's why, if y'all want to go and look on my page, most of my posts are public. And I did a public post, and I told my story, my whole story on there. And so you can go, you can follow me. And so, because I have that button activated, you can go read my post. So tell your story often.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. Well, Marian, we appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to be with us. Your story was amazing. You gave some great advice. I'm reading some of the comments over here, and people are saying all kinds of good stuff. So you really helped a lot of people tonight. So anyway,
y'all have blessed me.
So before everybody gets off of here, I'm going to do a drawing here in a minute. We've got we had a contest for people that signed up, ambassadors from the 14th through the 17th, and your name goes into a drawing for a bottle of Ease Cream, or not Ease Cream, body cream. Sorry, body cream. The Ease Cream is for me. Sorry, no, not really. I love the Ease Cream. But anyway, so before we get off of here, real quick, let me just do a screenshot. Always do a screenshot of everybody. Turn your camera on real quick. Okay, Brandy, Polly, Marianne, turn your camera on. Marianne, you can turn your camera on real quick.
How do I turn it on? I'm still figuring this out.
You should see a little camera icon at the bottom.
Little camera icon down at the bottom.
Okay, let's see here. Oh,
there you go. There you go. Okay, everybody smile real quick. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. No, actually, I need to leave the recording going real quick. Let me go ahead and do this drawing real quick. Okay, so the people's names that went into the drawing, like I say, this was for a bottle of the body cream. And it was, if you sign up an ambassador from the 14th through the 17th, we've got Laura Kidman, Liz Higgins, Brandy Sawatsky, Crystal Garrett, and Barb Burke. So you reach in here and draw this name real quick. That way this will be recorded. And the person that wins is Brandy Sawatsky. So Brandy, congratulations, girl. Okay, so another thing real quick to our team before I get off the recording. So far this month, we've had 27 new team members. We've got 14 more days to go with the free enrollment codes. So if you need an enrollment code, let us know. We'll be more than happy to try to get you one, because we've got, with 27 people signed up, there's a lot of codes out there to be used. So anyway, but okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.